don't be too afraid of making your own posts, specifically on Talent or engaging with students or responding to things. Who knows? Maybe other folks are also afraid of like making that initial post, but once you
Yeah.
do, I feel like going from being like a lurker to like just looking at posts
Mhm.
to someone being more engaged, you'll find community a lot easier. You'll find your people a lot easier.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the OSE podcast. This is episode 5. My name is Ethan Rum. For those of you who don't know me, I am the new OSE graduate assistant. I'm really excited to begin working with y'all and talking and connecting with everyone in the online student experience space. And with that being said, all that out of the way, I will go ahead and introduce our guest.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kevin Huang. I am currently with the Division of Digital Strategy and Innovation, specifically our enterprise department. So, working a lot with online students, and my role right now is online student success coordinator. So, I'll be talking a little bit more with Ethan here and saying like what online success looks like for you all. So, glad to be here.
With all that, we'll go ahead and talk about our topic. So today we are focusing in on social media and specifically the social dilemma. Are we more connected or are we more online? Some people might say more chronically online.
Mhm.
Just to kind of get started, kind of get our toes wet. Can you tell us a little bit more about your role as the online student success coordinator for DSI?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's a lot of many different facets to what I do, specifically online. So a big focus of what I do is working with our fully online degree program. So we have two in partnership with Coursera. It's our BAAS, a Bachelor's of Applied Arts and Sciences, as well as our BSGB program. So those are two very separate programs, but connected to Coursera in our partnership,
Okay.
on top of like UNT Career Academy. So there are a lot of different things. That's the biggest thing that I'm working on right now. So working with our fully online students who are mostly non-traditional as well. So a lot of different functions in this specific role. I also work with a lot of our corporate partnerships. Coursera, I've mentioned. Career Academy is something that I'm heavily connected to. So if you're trying to work on your professional certificate or you've seen that around campus, that's kind of from our team. So that's a little bit about what my role is as the student success coordinator here.
So to kind of get things started in the social media kind of side of things, what role do you think social media plays for building communities on campuses?
Yeah, so I think it's definitely evolved a lot over the years, especially starting in 2020 when COVID happened, right?
Yeah.
And is still continuing to persist. But
It's been
social
4 or 5
media,
years. That's crazy.
exactly. It's been 5 years, but essentially, I feel like social media has been where everyone is. Before then, I think social media was pretty used or heavily used, but it wasn't like everyone was there in social media. Everyone was there online, specifically in online forums. So we have a lot of different platforms. We have like Twitch, we have YouTube, we have X or Twitter, whatever that is, and then we have different applications where people can talk. We used to have Facebook, right? There used to be MySpace, for example, all
Yeah.
a long time ago, right? Maybe I'm dating myself, but and now we have like Discord. We have different platforms where people can talk online and engage with each other and build community. So I believe it is probably the strongest connector for all of us in building community right now because you can still reach out to people or find people to be in community with, even if you're just at home, right? If you're either a fully online student, if you're fully remote work, you can still reach out to people and build community online. So I believe, social media, online forums, that's a big part of life. I mean, even I myself use that outside of just what we do here. I'm on Discord. I'm always talking to my friends that are in different states, different
Yeah.
areas and still connecting and reconnecting to folks online.
There's less of like a physical constraint that you would have had in the past.
Right, yeah, and in the past, it's like, oh, you have to travel, you have to fly somewhere. Maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
like to go to California or go to New York to see someone. It's like, hey, yeah, you could do like a phone call, you could do a video call, but it's a little bit different when you do have like a platform like Discord, for example, or you could just message someone
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, you want to hang out or you want to play a game or something like that. So I think that's
Yeah, it's very
very different.
casual too.
Yeah, it's very casual too. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you think you've seen students using social media as of recently?
Well, the students that I am working with are really more so on the non-traditional side. So they might be less tech savvy with social media
Hmm.
and less engaged in social media than maybe folks from the younger generation are today.
Gotcha. And how would you say that like UNT and DSI are reaching out and communicating with these students on social media?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It seems I'm not as familiar with the overall UNT, but I've seen that they do post on Instagram, they do post on social media of like what's happening, what events are happening. Us as DSI, since we have something called Talent with Inscribe, which we'll talk about later, I think. But essentially, that's a virtual student union, kind of social media, where people can engage, people can connect to each other and build community on that platform. And big part of that is, if there are announcements, if there are deadlines, if there are events happening, we'll post that on that so that students know what's happening around campus, even if they're not physically there.
Gotcha. Yeah, you kind of jumped the gun there. Yeah, could you kind of, I guess, explain a little bit further about what Talent to Talent is?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So we have a platform called Talent, specifically for any student that is taking an online course. So it started out as a platform just for our fully online degree students because we found that there's no real space for them to kind of be together, right? If you're on campus, if you live on campus, for example, you can go to Union, you can meet with your friends, you can go to maybe like a dining hall, hang out, or even like the library, right? And you have a space to be as a student amongst other students. But what we found is that fully online students or people who don't have that accessibility, don't have that ability to come on campus, don't have a space like that. And we wanted to provide that for students however we could. And Talent with our partnership with Inscribe was one of the solutions that we've kind of come towards.
Gotcha.
It's still, in the works and we're still trying to figure it out, but that was a big reason for why we brought Talent. So, like I said earlier, it's almost like a virtual student union. It's where people can come and talk about whatever they want to, whether it be classes, whether it be some events that are happening online. It could be just questions about life. It could be, pet pictures. It could be anything, right? A conversation that's casual for everyone here on campus. So kind of like Discord, kind of like other things like Slack, maybe GroupMe, but just a bit more organized and a bit more on the formal side where we can also produce like announcements, we can share events happening, live sessions, and those that are specifically online. So we're not leaving those folks that can't come to campus alone and just kind of like separated from the rest of campus.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I kind of see with like the Talent to Talent it being a little bit more of like, since it's sort of a university product, there's a little bit more of a security and like this event is like something that's happening on campus and the students that are commenting and responding to it are other students. There's a little bit of security there.
Yes, and anyone who is in Talent has to log in with their UNT information. So all the people there are either staff, faculty, or maybe like students. So if you do need assistance or anything like that, Talent is also a great way to get that, especially if you need to reach out to like a staff member or you need to reach out to anyone, right? That's a part of UNT, but it's, I think, a good space and it's a good happy medium between like, casual Discord or maybe something more like Canvas, right? It's like kind of in between.
Yeah,
for a
it's
lot
kind of
students.
acting as that sort of like, I've heard this kind of concept before of like a public like town hall.
Yeah.
And that's how like social media I feel like acts, but like Town to Town specifically is like
Right.
that for like UNT.
Yep. And it helps us also be there for a student or kind of meet you all where you actually are. And that
Yeah.
might be chronically online, it might be not, right? But it is online and it's accessible for us, but also for you all to get answers or support when you need it, right? And we want to make sure that all UNT students have that kind of support, especially folks that are online fully, right? But that was the goal in the beginning, but we've kind of launched it out to any student that has that is currently taking an online course at UNT, at least this semester right now, and moving forward as well. So if you're taking an online course, you might already be enrolled into Talent. You might not even know, right? But it's a lot of students too. So maybe I think adding up undergrads and grad students, it's about 40,000 students in that community, or at
that's
least
a really big reach.
registered into that community. So if you don't know about Talent, check it out.
What kinds of conversations, experiences have you been seeing students having on Town to Town?
Yeah, I think a lot of it that we've seen from the beginning is really like class focused. So if students are figuring out, oh, is this a faculty member that I want to take a course from, or is this a course that I should take? For example, is it too difficult? Anything like that. We've seen some of that. We've also seen a lot of casual ones where they're just kind of talking about movies. They're talking about their pets. They might have some cat photos. They might have their dog photos. On top of that, there are different ones where they're just questions like, oh, I'm not sure how to do X, for example. Or has anyone seen any events that are available, via online experiences? And we do have those live sessions, especially from the OSE team that they're sharing constantly, and from student affairs, right? So a lot of different questions, but I think those are most of the common ones. Just trying to figure out what classes are about and trying to see like, oh, do people have the same experiences?
Kind of shifting gears a little bit, but what are some considerations and concerns about social media, especially for like community forums and things like that?
Yeah, I think with social media and just being online, there's a sense of anonymity, I think, to all of that, where maybe, folks can say things that might be more harmful or more specific towards a certain, I don't know, situation. It's hard to kind of describe it, but there's always issues where social media might not be the best outlet. Yeah. So sometimes it can be heavy on your emotions. Sometimes it could be heavy in just general mental well-being. And there's a lot of news out there too. A lot of news that are developing within social media. There's different perspectives, and I think some of it can be harmful, some of it can be helpful, right? So those are concerns, at least what I can see with social media and any kind of community forum. So a lot of different things that can stem from social media. Not saying that it does only inhibit negative feelings or negative reactions or anything negative, because there are a lot of good things from social media. There's a lot to social media. It's very complex, and at least I feel it's a different platform than engaging in person. And again, going back to the anonymity or being online, sometimes people say things that they wouldn't say in person or say to your face. So those different things are important to recognize and realize, because I think what is portrayed on social media is not necessarily what is happening in real life. Like, let's say folks are having the best time of their lives in social media. That doesn't mean they actually are having that the best time of their life in real life, right? That's just what they want to post. That's just what they want to reflect.
That's what the screen kind of captures.
Right, exactly. And that's always a concern, I think, for social media. It's like, oh, you're only posting things that you want to post rather than, the full picture of what might actually be happening in your life. So it really depends.
It's kind of hard to like figure out what actually is happening, and there's a lot of different perspectives to and differences between, what's on the screen and then what's in real life.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was thinking when you were saying that, like, especially going back to like it kind of making connections a little bit easier.
Hmm.
You know, what, a lot of these things are happening in real life,
Hmm.
but the reach is just so much more with social media. You have something you have to kind of keep in consideration.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense too because whatever you post, if it is a public social media,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, it can reach like thousands, hundreds of thousands of people
Hmm.
potentially, right? Or someone can see it anywhere, right? Let's say you make a post on social media, maybe your boss in the future sees that, or maybe a professor sees that, a faculty member. You never know, right?
Yeah.
Because social media is just it's depending on what it is, it's very public. I mean, if it's like a talent social media, obviously that's just UNT, and then you'll see like what UNT staff, faculty, and students can see, and no one else. But if you're posting on like X or like Instagram, or if people still use Facebook, I think people still use Facebook, but
From time
whatever
to
that
time.
is, from time to time, right? It's very public, and anyone can see that for the most part. So that's
Yeah.
always something you can worry about and also be concerned about.
Like maybe if you're having a bad day, maybe two or three people would have seen that and you would have gone home. But then if you're posting online, then it's like everybody can see it.
Right, exactly.
Everybody has access.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone has access, so be aware of that. All of the things that you post online will probably be there forever online.
Yeah. I guess kind of with that being said, what are some kind of boundaries or maybe self-care things you feel like are good for students or anybody really online to practice?
Yeah, use social media less, I guess. Sometimes you can really dig yourself into a hole, especially when it comes to reels, right? You just scroll, you watch, and you consume a lot of content. But that doesn't necessarily mean, especially, there's like two avenues. Like if you're a student on campus, too much social media means less engagement physically and less engagement with people around you. If you're online, yeah, if you're just scrolling through social media, it depends on what kind of social media. Again, with that, but that can also be a detriment too. Social media has different. It's such a complex subject that I'm not sure too much about it, but I feel that if you really want to create boundaries of like just hey, let me limit my social media usage to like 2 hours a day, or let me only check it after all of my classes or after all of my assignments are done. I
Yeah.
think that can be very helpful. In terms of like self-care, I think don't don't put yourself out too much on social media. I think sometimes if you are constantly thinking about, oh, what do I post next on social media, or how do I represent my life in social media more, that can be potentially harmful to yourself and not even caring about yourself because you're displaying something and you're trying to set a expectation and standard for yourself. But maybe you just want to kind of be more laid back and you just, don't want to be in the limelight or just kind of be in that space. So there's a lot of different things I think for self-care in terms of social media. I don't really post on social media, but that could also be because I'm older, so I don't know. But
That's a personal preference.
yeah, personal preference. Um, so I haven't found it to be negative in terms of that because I don't really post, but I do scroll on Reels, so I do see the issues with that. So I think if I even need to set boundaries for myself, I would say less scrolling on the reels and more doing other things, like whether it be joining an organization, being engaged with other,
Yeah.
fellow students and colleagues, and just being more engaged in class, I think would be important. So less scrolling, more being in the space, whether it be
Being more present.
yeah, being more present, being more with the people around you instead of just like on social media.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there's a good balance, I think, too.
Yeah. Everything in moderation.
Yeah, for sure.
I saw this one tweet one time that you said something earlier that reminded me of it, but like, I feel like we all just need to know less about each other.
Yeah,
Sometimes people will be oversharing.
yeah, yes, that is true. Like I can see public posts all the time, I don't want to, but I can. So just a heads up on that, especially when it comes to like your career. If you're looking into your career in the future, don't share too much because eventually an employer might see that if they're like trying to hire you, if you're trying to interview with someone,
Yeah.
most likely they'll screen you through very different avenues. If it's not just your resume, your cover letter, it might even be your social media, right? It could be whatever you post on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. So I think being mindful about that and not oversharing sometimes can be helpful for long-term prospects.
Do you think that social media has made it easier or maybe more difficult to find connection?
I would say it depends. For the most part, I believe it has its benefits in creating connection, but the connection might not be as authentic or engaged, I
Mm.
feel,
Yeah, I know
compared
I'm asking you
to
kind of a subjective question.
right, yeah, but compared to like before the whole social media boom.
Mm.
Um, because if you're only engaging via social media or if you're only engaging online, sometimes what you say or what you mean
Hmm.
doesn't really present itself in terms of in social media versus like in person. Like if I'm talking to you, you
Hmm.
kind of can see how I'm acting, my
Yeah,
emotions, my tone. But if you're just typing
there's a
something,
lot more information
yeah,
there.
there's a lot more information there that's also missing too, the context. Like maybe some people aren't the best at texting or typing or um
They send like a K.
right, yeah, relaying what they actually feel in the response
Yeah.
versus like in person. So there's a mix of, I feel, connection and genuine connection with that. Yeah, so you can still be engaged with folks on like Discord and
Hmm.
have your communities and have groups, right? But yeah, if you create a community by following specific content creators, that's a thing too.
Hmm.
But I feel like the genuine connection is really developed when you're talking face to face, and sometimes you can do that in social media. Sometimes you can do that in online platforms.
Yeah.
Again, going back to Discord, I really talk about Discord because I do find that there are genuine connections
Mm.
in social media and online platforms. Like Discord could be a great way where if you're all sharing your video or talking to each other in a voice chat or playing a game with each other, I think
Yeah.
genuine connections can be developed there.
Yeah, I guess it kind of depends on maybe the type of platform you're using, but also like your intentions and like what you're kind of doing to reach out to other people.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you hope to see in the future for town to town specifically, but also just connectivity at UNT?
I want to see a space and an understanding of UNT as like open for everyone, even if it means you're fully online or you can't access the resources that are on campus. Specifically with talent to talent, I want to see folks be more engaged in there or at least find community there,
Hmm.
whether it be with a specific degree, a specific student organization or interest. I want to see that all on Talent to Talent, or I want to see that all at least online and available to anyone at UNT and for any UNT student, because that's still important. Like the connectivity part is important. Yes, your degree, your education, learning is important, but at the same time, networking, finding
Mm.
folks in your career field, finding folks that you can relate to, that have the same interests as you, are really lifelong relationships that you can have even past UNT, right?
Hmm.
Yes, there's your education. Yes, there's your learning. But who are you learning with and who are you connecting to that might even be your colleague in the future, that might
Mm.
even be a part of your life in the future
Yeah.
too, right? Think about that and see what that looks like for you. So I'm hoping that students will be more connected online. If they're not connected in person, if they don't have that avenue, I would love to see them be a part of that, and at least just have some kind of connection. Because if you do feel like you're not connected, we're trying our best to provide those different resources, and especially I believe OSE is conducting a lot of different initiatives and programs and sessions where they're trying to bring a lot of online students together. And
We're
I
always
think,
hosting events,
right,
and
exactly.
study sessions, and things like
Exactly.
that.
And I think that's really important for connectivity, especially you, who knows, right? You might be fully online, you might be a hybrid student, whatever it is, it's always going to be connected back to the online space and platform. So,
Gotcha. How would you say that students, especially online students, can build their own community? We talked a lot about, like how UNT is kind of trying to reach students, but how do you think online students can reach one another?
yeah,
Kind of
there's
take that initiative into their own hands.
Yeah, I mean, don't be too afraid of making your own posts, specifically on Talent or engaging with students or responding to things. Who knows? Maybe other folks are also afraid of like making that initial post, but once you do, I feel like going from being like a lurker to like just looking at posts to someone being more engaged, you'll find community a lot easier. You'll find your people a lot easier.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that maybe students aren't used to doing, maybe, I don't know. But that's at least how I've found a lot of connectivity and community. It's like you have to make the initial first step. It's like, hey, I'm new to the community. I want to I'm interested in this stuff. I would love to, find people that are kind of like that. And eventually you'll find little different pockets that are connected to what you're interested in or what you really want to kind of be a part of. And I think that'll be helpful. So take that first step, take that initiative to connect to the community. Maybe sometimes you'll hear nothing. That's okay.
You wouldn't have known if you hadn't tried.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you wouldn't have known if you haven't tried, because someone has to take a first step, and that goes with also anything in life. Like if it's finding your next job, if it's finding a different opportunity, you have to take that initiative and step, and it won't just kind of come to you. So I think that's a big part of creating connection and community. It's just like you have to own it, and you have to be a part of it too.
I think that's the end of our questions for today. Where can people reach out to you?
Yeah, so you could probably find me on our DSI Enterprise website or even our DSI website specifically. I am also, let's see, I'm also on Navigate technically, but specifically with fully online students in our degree program. So you might not find me there, but you can always find me in Talent. So if you make any posts on Talent, or you just reach out to me via email, you'll find me and I'll be there for you. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
And as always, you can reach out to us via our Instagram or our OSE website or via email. Well, I appreciate you all for listening and thank you for tuning in. And thank you to Kevin for joining us for today and talking with us about social media.
Yeah, of course.
And as always, go Mean Green.
Coming green.